are back, everybody. Welcome.
Yeah.
And live, Ed Tracy. I'm with John
And
Gedney,
unfortunately,
the
the
executive
people
director.
running the county.
No, the kids.
We got a big topic today. We have a whole 12-minute segment to talk about Assembly Bill 652 and the update and what's going on. I think with anybody, we're talking about this before we went on air, and the sky's the limit on this topic. What is Assembly Bill 652?
Assembly Bill 652 is sponsored by Assemblyman Ken Cooley, representing the Sacramento area, and it's planning to relinquish a section of State Route 16 from South Watt Avenue through Grant Line Road to the county of Sacramento, and it's essentially to enable the development of what they're calling for about 55,000 new residential homes, and in order to handle that, they're calling for 15 new traffic signals. This is a plan that's been in works for about 3 years or more. I mean, we were aware of it in Amador County about 2.5 years ago.
How would that affect us on this end?
Well, we actually had to do our own traffic study for this. Sacramento County refused to work with us on this, and they refused to look at the impacts to interregional travel. ACTC, Amador County Transportation Commission, ponied up $30,000 of our own money to do the operational analysis that would show just what the impacts would be to long-distance travel. And frankly, Sacramento County told us before we did the study that they weren't interested in the results of it. This has been a foregone conclusion for a long time.
15 more traffic lights.
15 more traffic lights. And so if you look at the segment, it's about a 7 to 8 mile segment, and that means that you're going to have traffic lights probably every half mile, maybe even closer than that.
That's crazy.
And that's in addition to the other 5 signals that are already out there.
Now, my 3 oldest kids live in Roseville, and many times I take 16. And as it is right now, it's annoying. Imagine 15 more traffic lights on State Route 16.
Right,
Be
right.
insane.
Well, it's an interregional route right
Sure.
now. It's legislatively mandated in the state system. They're planning to turn it into an urban arterial. It's going to look like Watt Avenue or Sunrise Boulevard. It's going to look that way. And we didn't fight the first segment of relinquishment up to Watt Avenue because there's alternative routes. We can shoot across at Bradshaw or Watt or Sunrise. But now that they've extended it to Grant Line, the only viable alternative for us is to go down Latrobe Road.
Latrobe, which is just a joy.
How else are we going to get there now? Is our question.
That's true. So what's the general consensus? What's everybody's thoughts on this? You said you've got like 2,000 signatures on a petition. You've had 500 plus emails or Facebook posts, whatever is going on.
Right.
What's everybody saying about this? Because that's a big thing. When you talk that much traffic on a road that really, to me, it still is a very scenic route for the most part, and yet is heavily trafficked. You're talking wait times, you're talking traffic jams, you're talking a big mess down there, in my opinion. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
Okay.
It's going to be a mess, and you can read the comments on the website. If you go to actc-amador.org, on the left-hand side, there's a link to the petition. You can sign the petition, you can read the comments. People are concerned with medical services. They're concerned with the tourism industry into the Shenandoah Valley. They're concerned with commuting just generally into Sacramento County. And it's not restricted to just people in Amador County. People in Valley Springs are concerned. People in Alpine County. We have a coalition of 34 other counties who see this as something that could happen to them just as easily as it's happening to us. This is a new era that's upon us. This relinquishment, this is really precedent setting, and I need to make that point clear, is that typically in the past when Caltrans would relinquish a route or section of the state highway, it would be superseded, or it would be because of a bypass. A bypass had been put in, so the old section was no longer really needed for the highway. This is not associated with the bypass. No. This is a kind of a new policy that they're trying to put in place to the state is frankly trying to save some money. They're thinking, how can we save some money? Well, let's relinquish some routes that we no longer need. And the intention originally was to give them back to, Main Street areas, maybe the Sonora area that's congested right now down Main Street, and they could use some relief from Caltrans design standards. Things that's the appropriate place for this, I think. Not in vacant land, out in the hinterlands. I mean, we're not getting we're not getting into the land use issue, and we're trying to stay away from that. And if you look back at those comments online, a lot of people are concerned with the development itself, the water issues and the open space issues, and that's not our That's not our area of
Right.
concern. Our area of concern is really refined to protections for interregional travel. And we've asked for amendments to be put into the legislation to protect interregional travel. And it's awkward to say, but I must say that we have received absolutely no support, no support for our position from our state legislators. In the Assembly, they passed it 77-0.
Because they don't live out here. This isn't their area.
Well, no, Assemblyman Bigelow did not vote against this. And he actually looked at the amendments that Sacramento County had proposed that in our minds were watered down and meaningless. And he actually asked us, might as well take them, declare victory. This is all you're going to get.
So that everybody has a better understanding. Let's say this happens and they give them this stretch of road. How does it affect us here? What are some of the downside? Well, there's a lot, but some of the big ones.
Well, the big ones are the impacts to the business. Our Amador Business Council is strongly in support of our position here. They know that we have businesses up in Amador County that rely on goods movement to get products to Amador County and out to customers. Again, I mentioned this Shenandoah Valley, the burgeoning wine industry in the Plymouth area.
Sure.
How are people going to get there? You know, if they can't go Highway 16, how are they going to get there? They're going to go Highway 50 down through El Dorado, but then they'll stop at the wineries in El Dorado. So El Dorado's actually may benefit from this at our distress.
Sure.
So, but aside from that, it's a long distance commuting. A lot of people travel to Sacramento for work. A lot of people need specialized medical services in the Sacramento area.
Sure. We have a lot of folks that actually go to, say, Kaiser, down that way, Roseville or Sacramento. Believe it or not, this is not my only day job. I work for the company that owns Taste in Plymouth.
Right.
And the
Great
Volcano
place,
Union Inn. Thank you. and as soon as I saw this, I thought, crap, imagine how many people say, let's eat somewhere else. Let's not go to Beth Sogard's Amador Market. Let's not go to Taste. Let's not go to, as you say, the wineries, because it's so much easier just to stay at Apple Hill or to go to the wineries, somewhere else.
Right.
Or even not even as close as us. Let's say Slough House. People won't even go there because of the effects that this would have on everybody. And so
it's funny you mentioned Slough House. We've sorted the addresses or the locations of the people who've signed up on our petition pages from Slough House.
Really?
People who've moved out to Slough House. They're in Sacramento County. They're in their constituents of Senator Berryhill. They're opposed to this. They've moved out to the kind of the outer foothills and away from urban areas, and they see an urban area encroaching on them, and they're up in arms about it. Speaking of Senator Berryhill, the next step after we were unable to get any resolution at the Assembly was to go to the Senate and ask Senator Berryhill to step up. And so far we've gotten no positive response there either. We've been asked over the last few years to collaborate and partner and try to find resolution to this. Legislators have asked Sacramento County to work with us. And so far, the only ones collaborating and negotiating, trying to get some kind of reasonable protections for interregional travel, obviously, is us. And we've backed off from originally asking for 4 amendments. One of them was to ask Sacramento County to engage in a realistic and an open public input process. They refused to include that amendment. We asked them if they are going to do this to help us maybe collaborate to make some improvements to Latrobe Road.
Sure.
Kind of a pie in the sky, maybe unrealistic.
Sure.
Maybe it went a little too far with that. They wouldn't help us with that. We've narrowed it down to just one word. Insert one word in the legislation, interregional, regarding design standards and traffic studies. And they're refusing to do that. Now, we're at a point where it's going to be heard on August 27th on the consent agenda, really. They call it suspense, but it really means slam dunk.
Right.
With no opportunity for
call it
testimony.
like it is.
It's going to be a slam dunk on August 27th. So that's why we've asked the governor to step up. We met with the governor's staff, and he was receptive to our concerns.
Cool.
But after our meeting on Friday with the governor's staff, still no movement. So now we've moved so far away from our original request that I think we realize that we're not going to get anywhere with our amendments. We're just now asking that the senator open up the bill to allow the signatures and the comments to be included in the formal record. That's what we're left with now.
So
and
they
we're
realize
getting
how
no
many,
support for even that. So all the people who signed up at the fair, all the people who went online, all the people who shared it on Facebook, all the people who made those impassioned comments, all those comments and signatures may not even make it into the formal record.
What can we do as residents of the county at this point? August 27th sounds like it's D-Day.
Yes, it is.
So there's not much time. Today's the 7th, right? 6th, 7th.
Right.
What can we do to help this at this point?
I think the best thing we can do, unfortunately, we're down to this, and it was a Hail Mary pass.
Yeah.
We've tried to go through the process, and unfortunately, it's a matter of contacting our legislators. Contact Ken Cooley in Sacramento, Assemblyman Ken Cooley. He's the author of 652. Contact Senator Berryhill's office. Ask them to please listen to their constituents. This is something that is critically important to people who live up in this area, people who live in the foothill areas,
Very true.
people who live throughout California in rural areas like ours. This is a precedent-setting bill that, once enacted, could lead to a similar situation happening in Farmington, say, in San Joaquin County. Farmington could find a developer who is willing to fund the study, which actually happened. This State Route 16 corridor study that was prepared for Sacramento County and convinced Caltrans to relinquish the route back to the county because they can't relinquish it to a private developer.
Right.
The study itself was funded by the private developer who will now reap the benefit
Sure.
of this relinquishment.
Sure.
You know, it's,
We know how that works. We know what happens.
Unfortunately, we've become cynical and jaded to that.
Very true. Very true. We're talking about Roseville back in the 90s when the slow growth, no growth initiative was happening, and developers had their hands in. That's how it works. That's how it works.
And I don't think it's how it works. But for us, we feel like that's not right. And it's
I totally
something
agree.
worth
Oh, don't get me
fighting.
wrong. I'm not saying it's right
I
in
know.
any way, shape, or form.
We've
But
just become so used to it. It's unfortunate.
give them the website one more time.
ACTC-Amador.org.
Everybody go on there, read the comments, sign the petition. John Gedney, thank you.
Thank you very
much.
Chad. Appreciate the time.
Anytime. We'll be right back, everybody.
Thank you.